Thank you, Vic. I will only take a few minutes of your time. Just a little bit of background. My name is Jim Lafferty. I'm the former CEO of Procter & Gamble Philippines, and I'm currently the CEO of BAT Philippines. Before I went into business, I spent a lot of my life in athletics, and I still stay deeply involved in athletics. I'm the former coach of the U.S. junior national team in the 80s. I've also coached national runners from France, Germany, continued to coach in the U.S., and I was recently at the Olympics. I was a distance coach for the Nigerian Olympic team. So I've stayed deeply involved. I had a number of Olympic medalists, gold and silver, from Barcelona on back. You know, my old friend Tony Malato from Gawa Kalinga tells me, Jim, if you love the Philippines, you're a Filipino. And I wish I had the honor to say I was a Filipino, but I'm not. But I do love the Philippines. My son is Filipino, and I will stay here the rest of my life. And so anything I say is with the deepest respect and honor for your country, a country that I love, very much. I've been all over the country. I've run races from Lawag to Jensan, and I've come to a conclusion that there's world-class talent in the Philippines in track and field. And it really breaks my heart to see, our performances on an international stage. You're obviously going to work a program today, but I'm going to give you a couple pieces of advice from what I've seen from the European and US programs, and currently the mess in Nigeria, which I'm also involved in, trying to help them out. I have 4 pieces of advice for the group, and you can take it or leave it. Advice number 1 is I think that the group should go for the Olympic Games. I believe that when you train for the Olympics, you win everything else. I believe that setting a goal of winning the SEA Games is the wrong objective, because the SEA Games on a global scale is the equivalent of a US high school track meet. And so it does not prepare our athletes to compete on a real global stage. If you train people for the Olympics, you will win the SEA Games, you will win the Asian Games, you will win the Asian Grand Prix, and you'll win everything in between. But what you'll see with most programs is the US team doesn't train for the Pan Am Games. They train for the Olympics, and then they win the Pan Am Games on the way. You must set your objectives on an Olympic medals and not SEA Games. The SEA Games standards are very low, and they don't allow people to compete on a global stage. So my advice is shoot for the Olympics, and I firmly believe that we will win Olympic medals in the Philippines in athletics if we want to win them, because the talent is in the country right now to win. However, the second piece of advice is I think we should pick and choose our battles. Not all countries have the right mix of talent, raw talent, to compete in all events. If you take sprinting in Asia in general, it's not competitive. Other than Liu Zhang, there's never been an Olympic medalist in sprinting from Asia. In fact, in 2007, I was a guest to the US Olympic team at the World Championships in Osaka, and in the 4x100 final, the Japanese men set the Asian record, and they came in last place in the final. I have never seen a 100-meter runner in the country, and I've never seen a 400-meter runner in the country. I don't think there's been a 400-meter runner since Isidro del Prado, who ran a very impressive time in the mid-45s. So, to spend tons of money trying to develop the 100 and 200 meters takes money away from where you can really compete. And if you look at the best examples today, Jamaica does not fund distance running, and Kenya does not fund sprinting. But they both won 10 medals in London. The Kenyans won 10 medals in London, focusing on the 800 meters on up, and the Jamaicans won 10 gold, 10 medals in London, focusing on the 400 meters and down. It's okay to pick and choose, and if it was up to me, I think we should focus on distance running and field events. And I think if we put our money there, we will get medals. But I'm sorry, and it's very painful, but being a former coach, sometimes I used to never enter anybody in the 100 because I refused to waste a good runner in the 100 meters if they weren't a true 100-meter runner. So I would get to the meet, and I would enter no one in the 100, and the other coach would say, "What are you doing?" And I say, "Just wait till the end." And at the end, I would win the meet. because I would put the 100-meter runner in the 400, win the 400. We've got a lot of people in the 100 when we don't have any 100-meter runners that I've ever seen, in the country today. But we have many Olympic athletes in the country, but just maybe not in the 100 and 200 meters. That's a West African domination. All of the African Americans from the U.S. are West African origin. And, that's the Nigerian stronghold is, the 100, 200, 400 meters. Last 2 points I would give you is, one is I think you need to get corporate money. Other than communist countries like Cuba and China, no country successful today is financed by the government. The Jamaican team is not financed by the government. The Kenyan team is not financed by the government. It's financed by corporate funding. I'm very familiar with the Kenyan program. I've been there many times. It is funded by basically the shoe companies, by Coca-Cola, which I was a part of, the Coca-Cola Africa business. It's funded by corporations, and you need to get corporate money. And you need to make it available, and make it, and it's not like money isn't available. 4 years ago this month, I put up $1 million a year at Procter & Gamble, and that was matched by the Nestle Corporation. We put up $8 million to fund Olympic development for the London Olympics. The project died because of politics. The money was there, $8 million. So 250 million pesos was put available by both companies, just for track and field, just for track and field. You never saw any of that money because it died. If we're going to get involved in, in the political side, you're going to kill, because companies don't want to be involved in that. And I think the big issue is I wouldn't worry about, all of these small nuances. Do what's right, for the athletes. And that leads me to my last principle, which is you need to make sure that Patafa is for the athletes, not for other people. When I hear stories of national team runners that don't get to keep running because they're not with the right coach, this is all politics. Who cares? If you look at the London Olympics, Mo Farah won the 10,000 and 5,000 meter races. Mo Farah trains with Nike in Oregon for Alberto Salazar. So his coach is American. He lives in the United States. Do you think any Brit cared? They don't care. We just want the medal. So I'm not saying you should let people be coached by me, but why do we care about what nationality the coach is or whether they coach with this coach or that coach? Let the athletes go where they're happy. And the most successful programs allow athletes a freedom to pick and choose their coaches as they want. And a happy athlete wins medals. An unhappy athlete doesn't win anything. And I think as long as you're looking out for the best interest of the athletes, that's fine. But it's very interesting. When I was honorary coaching in the U.S. for some of the major meets, some of the people, 90% of the athletes on my team, I didn't coach. For example, at the Junior Nationals in the U.S. in 1984, I was the coach of Michael Johnson. But he wasn't my athlete. He had his own coach in Texas. Just for that meet, I was his coach, for one meet. And I didn't complain. I didn't go to USA Track and Field and say, hey, make him quit his coach and come with. If he's happy with his coach, let him run. And I think let's get back to doing what's right for the athletes. If the athletes are taken care of, it'll go. But we do need that money. I was in London. I had lunch with Mary Stella one day, and and I said to her, "Did you see this picture?" And I had a picture of Jessica Ennis the day after she won the gold medal in the heptathlon. It said, "Welcome to Team Ennis." Jessica Ennis had a full-time masseuse, full-time dietitian, full-time therapist, full-time sports psychologist, full-time strength coach, full-time events coach. She had a staff of 15 people. That's what you're up against. So there I am sitting with Mary Stella Torres, and I said, "What would you like for lunch?" I said, "Do you know what you should be eating before competition?" She said, "No." When have we given her any dietary advice on what she should be eating? When have we gone into the weight room with her and shown her how to properly use strength training equipment? I asked her the other day, "Do you keep records of all your weight workouts, and are you trying to improve?" She said, "No." Now, I will tell you now, based on limited experience with athletics in long jump, Mary Stella Torres, in my view, is in the top 5 long jumpers in the world. But here's the problem. On talent, she's here. But the American has a strength coach. Boom. The American doesn't go to McDonald's. Boom. The American's not going to Jollibee. Boom. You know, and before you know it, that's why she doesn't get out of the prelims. She's as good as anybody in the world. But we, you know, myself, all that, we have not done her a service by giving her the support she needs. How do you expect her to go there and compete with the US or UK teams when she doesn't have any resources? She doesn't know what to eat. When's the last time we videotaped her jumping? When's the last time we've analyzed the videotape? How do you know, raw talent, the raw talent is here, but that's what the money, the corporate money will do. You know, if we get corporate money, we want full-time team doctors, I want full-time sports psychologists, I want full-time dietitians, everything that goes in their mouth controlled by us. I asked 4 national team athletes last week, when's the last time you went to Jollibee? All 4 said yesterday. They're never going to win. They're never going to win. You can't eat that kind of food and win. Michael Phelps just celebrated his first visit to fast food in 11 years. That's what it takes to win on an Olympic level. You can't eat that stuff. You can't eat white rice. You can't eat this stuff. So if we give them what they need and the right coaching, the right advice, and we put them in the right environment, this country is going to crank out the medals because the talent and the desire is here. I will help all I can, and all I want is I want nothing. I make enough money in my own job. I want no money. I want no salary. I want nothing. I only want to help this country win what it deserves and to look good on a global stage. I want nothing else. I want no title. I want no thank you. I want no money. I want nothing. I only want to help the country win a gold medal.